Time for a quick break from Red Raider Nation. It's Prep Sports Extra, fall sports in full swing now, joined by HubCityPreps.com's own Randy Rosetta. He looks like a familiar face. He's been here for a while now, but he spent time at the Lubbock Avalanche Journal as well. Randy, thanks for joining us. We're excited to talk some high school sports with you.
You and I have been around. You've stayed in Lubbock. I left for 14 years, but when I got back, you were one of the familiar faces. So I'm glad to be on. Glad it's you I'm talking to.
We'll just hop right into it. The first week of high school football in the books. What did you think from the city schools after that first week?
Well, a couple things jumped out. First of all, Cooper is the real deal. They started the season ranked number 6. They crept up to number 5 this week. Shut out Andrews. Weren't exactly real fancy on offense, but they don't need to be with that defense. You've got two Big 12 caliber guys kind of at the heart of things, and Kyler Jordan and Kobe McKenzie. The offense was good. Holt Gibson's back as the quarterback, so they're going to be good. The other thing was Friendship looks like they've taken a step. Chad Ferris missed the last 8 games last year with a nasty collarbone injury. Came back, worked out some bugs early. Jay Northcutt pointed that out afterwards, made some mistakes, learned from them right away. The other side of that is Coronado's defense, even though they got beat, even though they gave up 4 touchdowns, was pretty salty, and that was a concern. Everybody knew about Sawyer Robertson in the offense.
Yeah.
They lost a lot of guys on that defense, but that defense looks pretty good already right off the bat.
Coach DJ Mann wants the win there, but to be in it right at the very end, I'm sure he was at least pleased with that and try to build on that this week. And speaking of that, going into this week, another tough game for the Mustangs.
Yes.
I'm sure one of the many that you have marked as something to cover this week. The only Lubbock ISD team actually in town this week.
Yes. Coronado, of course, Lubbock, Cooper. This begins the stretch when those two play, then Lubbock, Cooper, and Friendship play, then Lubbock, Cooper, and Monterey. It's the next several weeks they kind of stack up. And it is going to be intriguing because it's at Lowry Field. That's become a fiery little rivalry back and forth. So not necessarily between the lines, but outside and some stuff that's happened after games. If I just talked to a couple of Cooper guys, offensive lineman and a receiver, because they got shut out by Coronado last year. You talked about the offense taking some time. That was kind of the early low water mark. They're pretty motivated to come out and establish something on offense pretty quickly against Coronado. The flip side of that is with Jet Carroll at quarterback, second game now replacing Sawyer Robertson. Coronado's offense is going to have to be creative against that Cooper defense to make sure that they're putting points on the board.
Another game from the city that maybe interests you. Is there somebody else in action?
There's a couple. Friendships at home against Clovis. I mentioned Chad Ferris. He's the son of Chet Ferris, a former Clovis quarterback, and Melinda Schmicker Ferris. So a little bit of old home week. And it's good to see Clovis coming back over here. Of course, they couldn't come back last year. That's a very good big school New Mexico program that a lot of the teams out here will play. And an intriguing game on the road, Estacado at Dumas, going up there to face the Fighting Choice Woodmans. Dumas handled Estacado pretty handily last year, and that was a wake-up call. Estacado didn't quite wake up completely for a while, but Estacado's coming off a nice win against Greenwood, 16-7. This is maybe a step up, a chance for them to see what they can do on the road. Estacado could surprise some folks this year.
Coach Cluley's defense was a real deal in that season opener. All right, tell everybody how they can find your stuff. You're not just high school football. You're all the sports here in the city. How do we navigate HubCityPreps.com?
It's pretty self-explanatory. If you go to HubCityPreps.com, at the top there's going to be a bunch of drop-down menus, one for each of the public schools, and then one for private schools where you drop down and you can go to each of the 6 private schools we cover. There's also a tab for sports, so you can drop down there, go to each different sport. If you're only interested in volleyball right now, click on volleyball, that will take you there. We run, besides the sports, we'll run schedules and scoreboard stats, standings, podcasts, photo galleries. Click on my sponsors page too, that's important too. Those folks are helping me keep this thing going. Check that out, go visit them if you have something to do in town. I try to keep them local, so it's really easy to navigate. You just kind of have to play around with it a little bit, and once you do, it's really easy to get around.
Well, Randy, it's great to have you back in town. I know you've been here a little bit. Does great stuff with high school sports. We're honored to have him on set. Hopefully this is a regular thing with our Prep Sports Extra.